Greetings, Brawniacs, and welcome to The Devil's Den, a podcast that focuses specifically on Leo Brawn, former homicide detective killed in the line of duty turned demon hunter. I'm your host, Stitch Mainville, and with me is your co-host, the creator, writer, and producer of Leo Brawn, Mr. Jason Beard. Now, Jason and I will be breaking down each episode of Leo Brawn as we're joined by cast members who will give us their perspective as well. But first, spoiler alert, we will be discussing the entire episode of The List. So if you haven't yet listened, stop here, go back and listen to episode 9, and then come on back so we can continue. Okay, so now that you're all caught up, you may have some questions like, why didn't Laurie take door number 2? Who dropped the pig off Satan's doorstep? And our most important question of all for this episode is, did Laurie ever give Leo his ring back? All this and more on this episode of The Devil's Den. Hello, our conversation is just beginning, and right now we say hello to our co-host, the creator of Leo Brawn, Mr. Jason Beard. Jason. Don't tell me you're muted, dude.
Muted, of course.
There he is, Jason.
Oh, I love it.
Let me start over. What was that, Stitch? Hey, doing great, guys. How's it going?
Pretty good, man. We got a lot going on in episode 9. We had a lot more clips than we normally have, so it's probably going to take a little bit longer. But hey, okay. This is one of the better episodes, I think.
Yeah, this is one where I was like, we've been so steeped in the plot, heavy thickness, denseness of the plot, and I wanted to kind of go back to the horror roots, make things a little bloody, throw in some guts. That's what this episode is really all about.
Gratuitous blood and gore. Got it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hey, as always, we use this portion of the show to welcome some cast members to the episode. And joining us, we have returning guest, Terry Briscoe. Welcome, Terry. We also have newcomers Mitch, Leschinski, and Mike Cunningham. Gentlemen, thanks. It's great to have you join us this evening.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Glad to be back.
Now, Terry, thank you for returning for another episode of The Devil's Den. That's 2 in a row. And I'm glad you're here because a couple episodes of Devil's Den back, you made mention of a heart-wrenching performance. And this would be that episode, wouldn't it?
It would absolutely be that episode of your performance as well.
Got to be talking about Stitch, yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking about Terry's because we'll get to it, but I mean, his was pretty something else.
It's pretty heavy at the end.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted it sort of, just the blood and gore, just the light stuff at the front. That way when you get to the end of the episode, then you get hit over the head with
really light blood and gore.
Just happy little blood and gore.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, Mike, I want to welcome you to the Devil's Den. I got to tell you, I truly enjoy having you here. Would you mind telling our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am the veteran from the Air Force. I got out of that, became a busboy because that's what they prepared me to be when I got out of that. Went back to college, decided I wanted a real grown-up job. I got tired of having a real grown-up job, and now I decided to try and become a voice actor. So been doing that for a few years now. It's been awesome.
Who's your favorite character that you play?
Me? Oh, the man in the orange tie. Come on now.
There you go. Or Timmy Tot, as he's abbreviated.
Yeah. Oh, he's a creep. I love it.
And Mitch, always a pleasure to have you here, my friend. How are things for you these days?
Things are great. Got my first animation gig recently, so that's oh man, I get to tell people, which is pretty wild. I don't get to tell you what it is, but
okay.
Yeah, I'm just rolling in it, rolling the voice stuff and having fun with you guys. The more we do it, the more fun it becomes.
Now, you also have a podcast.
Oh yeah, Mitch and Mike's voiceover journey. Almost everyone here, Stitch, you're up.
I was just about to say, Jason's been on it. Terry's been on it. I don't know, Mike, have you been on it?
I was
just on it. Yeah.
So and I'm the odd man out.
We need you, Stitch. We need you. But yeah, so we're on like episode 36 now, which is pretty wild.
That's crazy.
And man, I don't know what else to tell you. Maybe I might start writing a children's book. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Yeah, don't know.
All right. Well, listen, before we review our episode, let's get to the answer of our last episode's trivia question. And that question was, what is the name of Leo's apartment building? Any of you guys know what that is? It's been mentioned in the episodes, so.
Oh, man.
You guys studied up, right? I mean, you listen to these incessantly, I assume.
Don't listen to me as I type looking for it.
Well, it is the Tardis Helms Apartments. The Tardis Helms Apartments. It came from this episode that we're reviewing, actually.
Yeah. And it just came from research. There's some demonology website out there that had something that referenced Tartarus Helm, and I used it. Now it's a hotel, an apartment in Dante.
Wow.
Well, we also have a Facebook message from Kate Jarvis in Long Grove, Iowa, who writes, awesome series. Leo Brawn is definitely my favorite character. Is the guy who voices Leo the same guy who voices the younger Officer Brawn? And I think we discussed that already, Terry, didn't we?
We did.
Yes. Yeah, it is the same person, and I'll let him know that you appreciate it. Because I'm sure he's a ham and would love to hear that. All right. Well, hey, let's get to our episode. This episode opens up with Max at the ornamental fish pond, and he's just ending another cycle of drowning when he notices a man, and we all know who the man is, standing before him.
What do you want? Say something!
The hooded man kneels down out of sight.
What? What are you doing?
Maximilian hears another sinister giggle, and then the man's hand comes into view. He's holding something. The hand raises and then lowers, placing the thing he's holding on the raised stone ridge that encloses the pond. Maximilian squints to get a clear view of what the man left behind. Glistening in the moonlight is a bloodied, severed ear.
I don't know what's more disturbing, Max's scream or Herman's laugh.
Definitely Herman's laugh.
Yeah, this is Herman taunting. This is taunting. He knows Richie. I'm sorry. He knows Richie Berry, who plays Maximilian. Maximilian can't do anything about it. He's trapped in this pond, so he's being extra creepy, extra mean.
Hey, can we just talk about Eric's portrayal?
It is unsettling.
We could dedicate an hour
keeps
to
you
just
up at night, man.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
We're going to have to do one episode of The Devil's Den where we just focus on one character for the whole.
Well, we do have the Herman standalone episode. We could maybe do a Devil's Den for that.
Yeah.
That scene gave me like. I'm sorry, that scene gave Clockwork Orange vibes. I'm just imagining that scene where he pushes him in the pond and, he pulls out his knife and cuts his hand. I don't know why, but maybe just because I love that scene. Creepy as heck.
Yeah.
Big time
respect for people who
sociopath
watch
vibes. Yeah.
Well, in this next clip, we're actually rewinding the clock a bit as we go back a few months prior to when Leo first started at the RA. And he's sitting with Sebastian during one of Leo's mandatory meetings.
I appreciate you making time for me, Leo. You've been a little busy these days.
Oh, aren't these sessions mandatory?
Well, yes, they are.
I wouldn't miss them either way. This is probably as close as I'll ever come to having therapy.
How's it going? The demon hunting?
When I was a kid, I couldn't think of anything I wanted more than to grow up one day and be a cop. Can't say the same thing for demon hunting.
So, becoming a cop was a calling?
My wife used to joke that I was born holding a badge.
Oh, well, then I feel sorry for your mom. Do you think about her?
Who, my mom?
Your wife.
Yeah. Leo's a little dense, I guess.
You're like, no, not at all. Why not?
I love this back and forth because it's a way for the listener to understand Leo. They're not just getting to know who Leo. Well, they're getting to know who he was before he landed in hell.
Yeah, and it was a way of sort of, because it was something that was mentioned early on that you were going to have these sort of regular check-ins, and we had never really done it. So it was a way of sort of giving the listeners the idea that this was something that was ongoing, that you were having these meetings, and it was showing that you were building sort of a rapport with Sebastian at this point. It was extending beyond just, him being an onboarding specialist and you being somebody that he had to sort of manage and get out of the queue.
I think it's also a great delivery method of just sneaking in little details to little breadcrumbs in there without making them a part of the story.
Right. Yeah, because it fits in with what is to happen sooner. Matter of fact, we learned earlier about Leo keeping a list, and in this next clip, we figure out why.
But when the day finally came, when he was born, I can't explain it. It felt like my heart was fully functioning for the first time.
What's he like?
Oh, my little man. My buddy. He's sweet, kind, and funny. He makes lists of everything. I guess that's why I started making lists. I learned it from him, not the other way around.
Lists? What kind of lists would he make?
Top 5 Saturday morning cartoons, top 10 jobs he wanted when he grew up. Being a cop was not one of them. Oh, Harry's grandfather, Louise's dad, he had what I would describe as like volcanic level gas. I mean, truly horrendous, like Mount Fuji level eruptions. The worst part was he didn't even know he was doing it half the time. He'd let one rip and not even flinch.
We're talking farts here, Leo? Really? I'm afraid to hear where this is going.
Okay, well, I love this scene, and I think I asked you when you wrote it, you always had it as my little man or something, but I asked if I could change it to my buddy. That's what I called my son growing up. He's 39 now, but that's my little buddy.
Yep.
And I just felt more comfortable saying it that way, and that's who I was envisioning and talking about as I was talking about my son.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because that's what I call my son too. I just always say, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" It's never my little man or whatever like that. So yeah, no, I thought it was a perfectly natural thing, and yes, I know it's about farts, but there's still there's something touching about it at the same time. And I had a grandfather who may or may not have had some version of this, so it may be based on something that happened in real life.
Yeah, that sounded real. And I may just be learning this, Stitch. You have a son. I could hear it. I could hear this whole episode. So I came through.
It really humanizes the character a lot, especially you can bring it into your own personal experience. But even given those little idiosyncrasies, the background of the character and things like that, it's really nice.
So, question, Jason, do you have a list of your grandfather's farts?
No, I never made the list.
Top 10 flatulences.
No lists. I know. I was really I think it was actually with my grandmother. She would not admit that she ever let a fart in her life, and I'm like, grandmother, I just heard it like 30 minutes ago when we were in the kitchen.
That's funny.
So at this point in the story, Willie returns from his investigation at the Cedar Hill Cemetery, eager to report what he discovered, and he gets to meet Ronan for the first time.
Now in the Devil's Den, he greets Captain Mangut by the coffee machine.
Hey, Captain.
Hi, Mr. Topaz?
Yes? Who are you?
Ronan gets nervous and can't speak.
Willie, this is Ronan Delaney, engineer from our new R&D department.
R&D department? How long was I gone?
He's responsible for our new automatic slab doors.
Oh, nice job, Ronan.
Okay, Ronan. Probably time to skedaddle.
Oh, aye, Captain. I'll just fuck off then, yeah? Aye, I'll get me coat, because clearly I need to fuck off.
Ronan steps away. The captain can tell by his demeanor that Willie is distressed.
Willie, what happened in Philly?
Where's Leo?
Now, obviously, Willie discovered Leo's grave marker, but he also noticed a grave marker indicating the death of Leo's wife and son at this point.
Right.
And I guess that's why he's looking around like, where is the psycho?
Yeah, he knows he's going to have some really horrible news to break. That's why, we're like, let's have everything fun and funny and some laughter and farts and Ronan going full Ronan before we get to that scene. Trying to keep it light,
The directly seconds after Ronan does his it's walking away, talking, cussing everybody out, and then instantly we go from that to where's Leo? I gotta tell you something now. We got a situation. Very heavy, very quickly.
Yeah. Sounds like Ronan sounds like what I would say when people do stuff like that to me in real life. I love doing that. I guess I'll go fuck myself then. That's fine.
I just love the way he trails off. He's walking away, and he just won't stop until he's out of earshot.
Yeah, and Andy doesn't stop either. There's usually about 45 seconds to a minute of that stuff, so I just try and take like the best little bits and shove it in as he's walking away. I hate it too because I'm like, I know there's a good line coming. I don't want it to trail off. But...
Oh man, you gotta keep those, and we gotta make some kind of like.
All of it,
We got them all collected,
yeah,
like Grandpa's farts.
Oh my God! It's a 1.5-minute long reel of Ronan just cursing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, we find out Leo is actually on a hunt with Laurie Stryker, and he's just transmigrated into the body of Terrence Chilcutt, and he has to find and meet with Laurie. Now, as he stands up off the filthy bathroom floor, he catches a glimpse of himself in the mirror.
He's wearing a pink polo and form-fitting white crop pants. He's wearing matching white loafers with no socks. Leo taps his left ear, activating the Weevil.
Laurie, are you reading this?
Men are so gross.
I'll take that as an affirmative. Okay, I'm leaving the gas station now. Can you give me your location?
Standing on the corner of Stewart Avenue and North 4th Street. According to the briefcase, I'm only about a mile away.
Okay, this is good then. Why don't you stay put and I'll meet you? Do you see any landmarks?
There is something called the Evo Club. Oh, cool. It's an internet cafe. Should I freak everyone out and post a TikTok?
I don't know what any of that means.
How old are you, Leo?
Oh, man.
Really old.
Yeah, I like the banter between them and the way you still tie in and remind the listener that he's from a different era.
Yeah, he's seemingly from a different era. He seemingly does not seem to fit in with modern times.
I haven't quite figured out exactly what era it is, though.
It's got to be like late 70s, right?
I would think it's like late 60s.
It's got. I'm thinking like 1977. Just like put them right in there.
Well, we'll see.
Keep the listener guessing. I guess that'd be kind of gross waking up on the bathroom floor of a.
Yeah.
What was it? A pumping shack?
Pumping shack? Yeah.
Sounds like a dirty whorehouse.
I feel like somebody told you about my time in the military. I mean, geez.
Yeah. I think there's even a line where he kind of examines the briefcase when he takes it off the bathroom.
Yeah, and he wipes it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Now, Laurie's going to an internet cafe. I don't think she's posting a TikTok. That's just a joke, I guess. But they set plans to meet up, and Leo runs into a little bit of trouble with a Vegas street gang, and he has to rely on help from his briefcase in order to get back on track.
Leo turns slowly around to find 3 young thugs approaching him.
What's in the briefcase, motherfucker?
Do you know what an LCI is?
What? What did you say, asshole?
I said, do you know what an LCI is? See, pistols, like that SIG there, come with a loaded chamber indicator.
What the fuck are you saying, motherfucker? Hand it over.
It means your toy gun there ain't loaded. At the very least, you don't have one in the chamber. So, unless you want that gold-plated grill shoved down your fucking throat, I advise you and your boy toys to walk away now.
This took forever for me to get through this when I was trying to record it for you. Because 2 days earlier, I had watched Dirty Harry.
I I was thinking the entire time. I was like, he's Dirty Harry in
Absolutely.
I was trying not to be, actually. I would listen. I'm like, that's too Clinton. I can't do that one. Because, with the whole thing about the SIG and the LCI and everything, it reminded me of him, like, does he have 5 in the chamber or 6?
It's like an earworm. It just, like, infects your brain.
I was thinking how effortlessly tough you were. Maybe that's not effortless. I'm like, dang, man, I want to be that tough.
It's like one of the few people I know that make me sound like I'm like a kid or something. Like I'm like, God damn, this guy's got so much more.
The rasp is real.
Yeah. Well, and that was the whole point, really. It's like we hadn't really been able to see much of Leo, sort of what he would have been like when he was, a detective or a cop. Like what was it like when he was on the streets having to deal with somebody? You can see he doesn't really back down, and he knows a few things about guns, something I didn't even know about, and not with every gun. But man, I had a lot of people ask me about that. Is that real? Well, it is with certain guns. I don't know that much, but did the research.
Yeah, but Leo addresses that when he says like that type.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. In particular, though.
Good research, Jason.
Well, Leo is eventually able to rid himself of the street gang. And if you want to find out, listen, it's awesome. Anyway, I love the fact that the briefcase did most of the work, which reinforces the fact that there is always someone watching and helping out on the hunts.
Yeah, I wanted there to be like something more that this briefcase could do. I mean, it's sort of a marvel of technology, even though it's in hell. So I didn't want it to just be this transporter. I thought, well, maybe it could serve another purpose. And like you said, it's sort of this direct line to dispatch. So maybe they're helping in some capacity through the briefcase. So we haven't fully explored how that relationship works yet. But yeah, it gave an additional power, so to speak, that you may or may not use in the future.
It sounds like a lot of may or may nots going on here.
Yeah, I'm the spoiler guy, so I'm trying really hard not to.
You never know what's going to happen. You have to tune in to find out.
Yeah.
Jason, it's weird you say that because I was going back and researching some of the old episodes to kind of find things. And I noticed in every episode that I rewatched, there's always one part where you're like, oh, wait, I can't say that.
Yeah, always. Always. That's why there's a lot of maybes. Maybe that happens.
Well, back in hell, we find Satan entertaining 2 ladies when he's suddenly interrupted by a text.
Ladies, turn those frowns upside down. I need to attend to some business, but I'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. In the meantime, enjoy some breakfast. Or each other. I know which option I'd choose.
Okay, Satan with 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Just
I love that line. Love that line.
An old reference that I happen to love,
Sure, and Satan would say that, I guess. Well, hey, we got another Facebook message from Erica S. from Schenectady, New York, and she writes, why doesn't Satan have any horns or hooves?
Yeah, so the idea, it's something that's been done before, but it's sort of this idea that he's maybe taking on a more humanoid type form or a human form versus what he may look like in his original, may or may not look like in his original form, the hooves and we do mention, I think even in one of the episodes early on, it's like, oh, I thought there'd be the horns and the pitchfork and all that stuff. And then it was like, well, the rumors of his appearance have been exaggerated over the years. So there's also that possibility.
Yeah, that was during orientation.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's possible that he doesn't possess any of those things. He just looks like he does, but that's another may or may not answer.
Well, it turns out the text message was from Satan's butler, telling him that someone is at the door. And when Satan arrives at the front door, he instructs his butler, Nigel, to open the door.
Standing on the other side in his overcoat and fedora is the pig. He collapses into the foyer.
Nigel. Yes, sir. Tell my lady friends to get dressed. And have this one delivered to the cellar, please. Right away, sir. So, Peggy, how was spelunking?
Mike, I love Nigel.
Do you?
He's so disinterested.
So exasperated about all of it.
Nigel, I mean, imagine being Satan's butler. What would that be like? I can't imagine a whole lot of wonderful experiences.
That'd be a great band name.
Oh, my God.
He makes Batman's Alfred sound excitable. This guy, yes.
Yes, all right. It's because it's like, yes, I'm your servant, but I don't have to like it. So.
Right.
Precisely. And it gives you this idea that, man, he's experienced so much, and now it's almost just.
It's just like, ugh, get this over with already.
Yeah, exactly.
Another threesome.
You didn't ask me to join.
I need to ask though. Did they just let him go and he crawled his way over to Satan's mansion, or was he dropped off? How did he arrive at Satan's door?
You're talking about the pig?
Yeah.
The man in the ugly orange tie allowed him to leave, and the pig knew, how to make it back. One of the few that knows this secret location for this mansion, so he made his way back on foot.
It's all part of a master plan.
It is.
Apparently, yeah, because the pig is no longer chained naked to a wall. He's been dropped up. Well, he made it his way to Satan's mansion. But again, how did he get there? He crawled there, I guess, from one dungeon to another. Well, listen, we meet back up with Leo and Laurie in Las Vegas, and Leo's on the move to meet up with Laurie, and they're in communication over their weevils discussing the idea of how to defeat the target Astaroth, the demon that they're hunting.
That was pretty awesome the way you handled those guys.
I can't take too much credit. Briefcase did most of the work.
And now you're just roaming around with a briefcase and a sword in the middle of Las Vegas. Totally normal.
I'll blend right in. What are you up to?
Decided to look up this demon we're hunting. His name is Astaroth. He can turn men invisible, reveal hidden treasures or desires, and, I quote, give mortal beings power over serpents.
Any weaknesses? Does it say how to defeat him?
It says he has foul-smelling breath, and the only protection is a silver ring that has to be held under the nose to survive the encounter.
Bad breath and rings. Not again.
Not again.
Something else that happened in Vegas when he was younger, maybe?
Well, this brings us back to episode 1 and 2, where he was trying to defeat Philip Weston's demon, and he had to have a silver ring, and one just popped up, which is what started that whole investigation into what's going on.
And frustratingly, in the literature, this is like a common way you're defeating a demon is like wearing a ring on a certain finger and putting it under your nose and all this stuff. So I was like, I don't want to go back to this every single time we're facing a demon. But it worked here because it allowed for the handoff to Laurie.
Now, we learn in this episode that he gives her the ring, but does she ever get it back? Or does he ever get it back? Or does she keep it? Because I'll tell you the truth. As I'm reading the script, I'm like, I don't want her to have the ring. I got a little upset, actually.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I think right now she's still in possession. I don't think we've ever handed it back over to Leo at this point. Maybe it's a rite of passage. Here you go, Laurie.
Perhaps.
You get the ring now.
So once again, Leo's going to need a silver ring to defeat the demon. However, Laurie, she's anxious to do the job, and she wants the ring, and she explains why.
Leo, a little over 4 days ago, I was possessed by a demon, visited by a pervy priest, freed from the demon, watched my apartment implode, haunted by my dead cat, and ran over by a tow truck, only to come to the realization that I was dead and a sinner in hell. Leo, I want this. What you did for me, I want to do for others. So, the ring, Leo?
Leo looks at the ring around his finger, nods, and slips it off. He takes Laurie's hand and slides it on her middle finger.
Now, this doesn't mean we're, engaged or anything.
Relax, Leo. You're definitely not my type.
What the fuck is her type?
Wait, the priest isn't played by Eric Carlino. How's he perfect? What the
heck? Hey, he still came off a little creepy, Mitch.
I really like Laurie Stryker's evolution, and in this one, I really noticed it. Like, she's really finding herself. She's less scared and just a stronger person, and knows what she wants. And I really like that evolution as a character and in the actor as well. Emily.
Yeah, no, I love that you're saying that, because I mean, it's true. This was like the first thing that Emily had ever done, and first thing I've ever done too. So it's not like, I'm not a veteran by any means, but it was still just exciting to watch her growth in each episode. Which, in some strange parallel, the same trajectory with Laurie Stryker. She as she's made it to hell, unfortunately, she has a mission of her own, and part of that is just to kick a lot of ass and get some revenge. So, I mean, that's what another thing this episode really allows her to do.
I think that's like a general arc with a lot of the things in this series, is that each episode it seems to get better and better. Everybody's growth in their own roles, growth in their, in this particular medium, seems to be on a higher arc each time. And it's neat just to see, as the characters to have more depth added to them and more experience, that people take even more ownership and develop them and make them their own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. It's like everyone's taking chances. The more we're into it, people are taking more chances, and those chances are really paying off.
Yeah.
It's almost like a listener who started with us from episode 1 till the end of the season kind of gets to grow and see them grow with them, the characters through, because they're not just a voice for them anymore now. And Jason, the way you're right, you get to actually paint a picture for the listener, so they actually get to see their characters evolve as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've loved so much about this particular medium. I mean, I was a huge fan of podcasts and audio dramas anyway, and a huge film buff before that. So, my whole idea was, how immersive could I make this with the limitation that there's no visual aspect to it. So the whole idea was to try and get the listener to be as immersed into, the story from, all of their senses as much as they can on each episode. And I have no interest in just doing like one note characters. So, the thing that you guys touched on, that these characters will evolve. I mean, there's so much more depth with each episode that we'll come to learn from each of them. Not just the ones that we might consider like the core characters, but other characters that may or may not even feature more prominently in season 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, back in hell, the pig finds himself on the floor of a basement again.
Not again. Relax, Piggy. You're amongst friends. You look a little worse for wear, if that's possible.
Satan depresses a button built into the center's desk, and the underground door unlocks. The marksman strolls in and joins Satan at his desk.
He wasn't followed. Doubled back on his trail. No one unfriendly.
You see that, Piggy? I speak marksman now.
He had a weapon, a torch, and this.
The marksman hands Satan a folded piece of paper.
Oh, Piggy. My bacon-flavored henchman. We have some things to discuss.
Mitch, the marksman has always been a mysterious character. What's your favorite part of playing this character?
I'm not tough. and I get to be like confident and tough and know that like I got my shit covered and I'm not dying. Everyone else is dying. I know how to use my gun. Like it's definitely a departure of my real being. And the only time I don't remember where we're at in the series, but there's a time where I get a little like, oh, I can't do something in it. And I'm like, whoa, like I didn't realize as me, I couldn't, I couldn't follow through on something. So, yeah, it's a lot of follow through. It's nice.
That's later.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
No spoilers.
Mm-hmm. It's another Clint Eastwood. I mean, clearly a Clint Eastwood influence there. A little bit of the Dark Tower series, and just this. He was one of my favorite characters to kind of come up with. I just love the idea, like you said, just this sort of tall, stoic, tough as nails. I don't know what he is yet. He's not like just a man, but he knows what he's doing. He knows how to handle himself.
Right.
I love him sonically. Because you have the voice, right? But not just the voice. Like, you can hear his clothes when he's walking. There's spurs that you can clearly hear.
Yes.
He actually has spurs.
Yeah, the spurs were important because that was I think I picked up on it when I watched Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood film Unforgiven, and a lot of the time when they were walking, especially like towards the end, when they confront Gene Hackman's character, you would hear the spurs in the bar, and I just thought, I have to include that. Whenever the marksman enters the room, you're going to hear those spurs thinking. And
there's an old comic called a thing called Preacher, and the marksman reminds me of the Santa Killers. It just like almost like a direct parallel in my so when I'm listening to Mitch, and I think of that character in my head. I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool. But I if I didn't know it was you, I would not even have guessed. You know what I mean? That's how it's incredible the way that you were able to kind of own that outside of Mitch the person and become that character.
Yeah.
The marksman doesn't do ceramics.
You don't know what he does in his free time.
Jason, the note that they found on the pig, it seems to annoy Satan.
Yes. Yes, it does. I don't think I could say why yet. I don't think we mentioned it in this episode. But
we don't want to spoil anything, but there's a reason that he has that note.
Yeah. Why is he in possession of this? Who gave it to him? The whole thing just annoys him.
Gotcha. Well, back in Las Vegas, Leo and Laurie find their way to the hospital where they must find and save Dr. Tobias Grant from his possession of Astaroth. And Laurie, she's eager to get this done, but Leo seems apprehensive and tries to impart some words of wisdom on Laurie, but she's not having it. So when they get in the hospital, it's empty, much like Laurie's apartment building was when Leo was hunting her demon. And remembering the issues that he had, Leo decides to avoid the elevator, and instead he takes the stairs up to the 7th floor.
Leo, it feels...
Yeah, I'm with you, kid. It's a little too quiet. Be ready for anything.
Look at that. Computer is still unlocked. What are the odds?
Not a coincidence, I can guarantee that. Mind if I ask what you're doing?
Trying to find our good doctor.
There is a rumbling below them on a lower floor. The 7th floor elevator down the hallway begins to operate.
Someone's in the elevator. I think we're gonna have company.
Leo pulls the long sword from the scabbard and holds it in a defensive stance. Then Laurie's briefcase begins to vibrate. She places it on the check-in desk and opens it.
Whoa!
She pulls out a chainsaw.
What's this for?
For them.
Leo gets a sword, and Laurie gets a freaking chainsaw.
Yeah. It was a way of, like a recurring thing with Leo that he just can't seem to get the decent weapon.
I particularly liked seeing you take a drag of a cigarette while Leo is kind of like. And I'm like, I hope he smokes. Like, I hope he's like Vince Vaughn on the Iron Cross and Old School, just like.
Well, I'm not really Leo, so.
Sure about that?
Well, things really start to pick up for the demon hunting duo, and they take care of a slew of hangmen that spill out of the elevators and surround them.
Piling out of the elevator doors are at least half a dozen hangmen.
Now, why does everyone always get the better weapon? I'd fire up that chainsaw if I were you.
Laurie pulls the starter cord and a chainsaw roars. Leo chops both of the headless hangman's legs off, and the body drops helplessly to the hospital floor.
Leo, behind you.
Leo thrusts the sword forward, striking two hangmen in the abdomen like a shish kebab. He pushes the blade upwards, cleaving both of the hangmen in half from the chest up.
Thanks.
So there's our gratuitous blood, guts, and gore, yes?
Love it.
Very much so. I actually got queasy putting that sequence together because there were so many like mushy, gross, gutsy elements through all of it.
You did this to yourself.
I do. Yeah. Those were one of the scenes where I'm like, why the fuck am I writing this shit? Because it's like so long to edit. It's so hard to do.
I love it though.
It's awesome.
It makes for great listening. Absolutely.
It was very visceral sounding. I liked it. I was impressed that it actually kind of you could in your mind feel bodies being chopped apart, which is wonderful.
Bodies hit the floor.
Can you license that song?
It would have been actually pretty cool if you had turned it on.
That would have been awesome. Yeah, I like at the end. I don't know. I don't think we have it in the clip, but you can hear Laurie walking to like continue the mission, and you can hear like she's walking on the floor. That's nice. All gross.
Well, I think that is in the upcoming clip. Actually,
time doing this too with the chainsaw and heels.
You mentioned the squishing feet, and I think in the upcoming clip you'll hear that because, needless to say, Leo and Laurie, they eventually dispatch the horde of hangmen and find themselves in the area of the hospital where they can find Dr. Grant.
Laurie, are you okay?
Yes, let's go.
Just wait a minute.
Oh, right, the pep talk.
No pep talk. You're clearly ready, but just remember, this Astaroth can reveal hidden treasures or desires. I think that means it may show you things that aren't really there.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Leo.
Wait.
What is it, Leo?
Turn your Weevil back on, just in case you need help. I'll be waiting just on the other side of the door.
You reading this?
Yes, I am. Good luck.
Laurie nods, takes a deep breath, and opens the door.
Yeah, and it's at this point in the story where Jason was writing and must have dropped a hit of LSD.
Those are like my favorite types of things, though. When you get hit with like
absolutely.
I didn't want another just straight up battle. That was the main. Honestly, I was just like, let's fuck it. Let's make it a little crazy this time. And I don't know. I don't know where the game show idea came from, but I just thought it would be really funny and kind of.
It is fun.
It is hilarious.
It's great.
I didn't want it to be, just them punching another demon and, getting away with it that way. So it was more about the mental acuity that they had at that point.
Well, it makes it more scary, too. I mean, not everything's about punching stuff. There's some kind of danger. Sometimes there's danger that you can't punch your way out of.
Right. Yeah. And this is a demon who he likes to mess with your mind. He'll make you see things that aren't there. So that was kind of the point.
So it's kind of like an envelope inside of an envelope, because this in itself is theater for the mind.
Right.
So now the actual character is in a theater for the mind themselves.
Exactly.
Well, like we say in New York, it's a mind fuck.
Just to let you know, this is the type of dream I have. We're about to play this in. This is what my dreams do sometimes. So maybe that's where you pulled it from.
Well, Laurie's trapped on one side of a door in some psychotic game show where she's tempted with 3 doors from which to choose.
Laurie is standing on a colorful soundstage. There are stage lights, television cameras with their operators, a podium with a microphone, rows of empty chairs where audience members could sit, except there aren't any.
Hi, folks. I'm your host, Kai Berry, and you're watching Tell Me Your Secret. Here's how we play the game. Behind each of these doors is a secret. We will reveal the secret behind each door, and then we'll scramble the secrets. Then Laurie here will have to reveal the secret she wants, and then pick the door with the correct secret behind it. If she does, she'll win. Harvey, tell her what she'll win.
If our lovely contestant Laurie Stryker selects the correct secret behind the right door, she won't be completely eviscerated, and she can go straight back to hell, where she'll suffer in damnation and be tortured for all eternity.
That's so pitch perfect, man.
As soon as I heard him saying that part, I'm like, is the Price is Right on?
Tell him what he's won.
Very good.
Yeah.
I love it.
I loved it.
Oh, God.
I love that whole aspect. I love that they didn't have an audience, but somehow they get like canned applause.
Yes.
They just like let it happen for like a second. They're like, all right.
And then cuts off immediately. And it's weird that Guy Barry sounded so much like Satan. I just was like,
weird. A lot of demons sound similar. They have the same father.
I imagine doing the prize announcing. It was actually the guy from Price is Right, unchanged, completely normal with like a sequin jacket on. You know.
Well, meanwhile, on the other side of the door, Leo is visited by what appears to be his son.
Leo waits in the hallway. He is unaware of the illusory game show that is taking place on the other side of operating room number 3.
Laurie, you okay in there? Laurie, can you hear me?
Worried for Laurie's safety, he reaches for the doorknob until...
Daddy?
I got to tell you, whenever I hear a little kid's voice like that echoed, they did it on It, the original It, where his little brother's in the tunnel in the sewers, and he's like, he calls him, and it just freaks me out. And when I heard that, the first time I heard that, my freaking hairs on my neck just stood straight up. It was just like, oh, you little creep.
Yep.
Yeah. That or it's sad. It's, one of the two, or it's just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Or a group of little kids singing. That's
no, I can't. No. Nope.
So both Leo and Laurie are having their minds fucked with by this demon Astaroth. Yes. But Laurie, she doesn't fall for the tricks, and she's able to outsmart the demon.
Okay, Laurie Stryker, which secret do you choose?
Well, there are basically two ways to defeat the demon Astaroth. The first one is to hold this ring under my nose due to his shit-smelling breath. The other way, resist your revelations. None of this is real. Plus, I hate game shows. So, I choose the door behind me.
Ms. Stryker, congratulations. You win. Yay.
Laurie exits the game show and truly enters operating room 3 for the first time.
Who the hell hates game shows?
Remember, she's a punk rocker, man. She's not with the establishment,
The only way to win the game is to not play.
Yeah. The real reason is I started to devise a very complicated game idea and had 12 pages of trying to explain the rules. I'm like, you know what? This is boring. Nobody's going to care. Just make it easy. And so that's why she just decided, I'm not going to play your game. Basically what Mike said. That's the only way to really win. Not indulge this demon's visions and fantasies and stuff like that.
What actually would have happened is Mr. Beast would have put it on his YouTube channel after you. Like, I found a new game.
She walks through the door and he's like, you've won $50,000. Here you go.
I love the choice they gave her for door number 2, with being able to go in there and beat the living shit out of Maury Stillman for.
Yeah.
That's
that way she would have had more Jim.
True. Well, I would turn the show into Jim O'Brien.
Well, meanwhile, Leo has to say goodbye to Harry, but not without getting a small note from his son first.
Harry slides off the chair and walks over to his father. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out 2 small pieces of paper. One is folded in half.
I made some new lists.
You did? Can I see them?
Well, one for now, then one for later. You promise?
I promise, Harry.
Okay, good.
Leo looks it over. It's numbered 1 through 10, but each line says the same thing. This isn't real.
Are you trying to help your dad?
It's not really me, Daddy. It's him. Put this one in your pocket. I have to go now, Daddy.
Leo places a hand to his mouth, trying not to cry.
Can I hug you, buddy?
Let's do it when it's not pretend.
Yeah, you're right.
Bye, Daddy.
Goodbye, Harry. Ouch. I'm not a good husband. I'm a great dad, but I'm not a good husband. And when my wife and I split up and she took my kids away from me, that was my fallback for that. Just being able to talk to him on the phone and not really getting to. She moved to Indianapolis, and I took forever to see him, and that's where I pulled that from. So.
Wow. Yeah, it's so raw and real and difficult for anyone that has children or someone that you love that you can't see. And there's this vision now playing in front of you that looks like your son and sounds like your son, but even this vision is telling you it's not really him. It's more of a mind fuck, but in a way you're receiving something that may or may not help you down the road. The character, Leo.
But it was nice. I mean, you had all the blood, guts, and gore. And again, you put that arc in a lot of the shows where everything just kind of peaks, and then you kind of bring us back down to this. I'm not going to say reality because it's not real.
Like the humanity of it and the emotional
absolutely.
side of it, and what's really at stake in some ways for these people that have, had to have suffered this fate,
And it's still creepy because you have a fake child going, "It's not real, Daddy.
It's not real."
It's not me. It's him.
I mean, it's like it's so sad, and you hear it, and it's this heart-wrenching thing. And in the back of my head, I'm still like, should you strangle the kid? I don't know. It's not real. This could be anything, right? Like, what is this?
Very true.
The demon.
Jason, you need to get Mike to write a couple episodes.
Right? Why is there so much kid strangling now?
Every episode,
the whole second season
throttled some way. I don't understand.
So Leo and Lori, they get Dr. Grant rescued, and they finally make it back to the ORA, and both are really excited that they accomplished their mission, but their spirits are suddenly grounded.
They're here.
Hey, Cap. Well, any evidence of our visit will be covered up by the earth.
Hey, Bubba. Sit down.
June, what's this about?
Go ahead, Willie. Tell him.
Tell me what?
About a week ago, an inmate died in their cell. Captain Mangett asked me to look into it.
Hey, Willie, look, this is all very interesting, but...
Leo, just let him finish.
So, I found a hand-drawn map to a cemetery back home. The Cedar Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia. I followed the path drawn on the map to a grave marker there. It was yours, Leo. I don't know why the map led me to your grave. I had decided to turn around and head home until I noticed 2 more headstones next to yours. It was the grave markers of your wife and son.
No, you tell me it isn't true, Willie. That can't be true, no! Captain! No, my dear, how? Why did this happen? My boy!
I'm sorry, Leo.
Why, my dear? My boy Harry? Why, God, why? No!
That's what my neighbor knocked on the I wish I had your input like that when I was recording mine, because I think hearing yours almost made me cry as far as trying to tell Leo, hey, man, this is what I found, and this isn't good, but here it is. And that just, it was wrenching. That's what I thought when you said there's a heart-wrenching scene coming up. That's what I was thinking about, was your performance there.
That was, I'm a little, even listening to it, like, to know where I had to go to get that performance, it was not a great place to be. And it's not like one of those places where you could come out of really quickly. So, you know, you got to sit in that for a little while. And thank goodness you got the performance from it. But, you know, hearing it and hearing yours as well, it sounds almost like we did it together.
Yeah.
when you hear it played, and the first time I heard it, I was like, wow. I think that's only like the third time I've ever actually heard it. Because it puts you right back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the kind of performance, like, and I, you know, as a father myself, I felt your performance was, I don't even know the right word. It's like a mixture between just devastation and irate at the same time. To hear that kind of news, which is, I don't know how you did it, man. I don't know how you did it.
August before, my dad was dying. We had a hospital bed set up in my sister's living room. And me and my cousin and my wife were sitting around watching television. And it wasn't until my cousin went over and noticed that my dad had passed. We were watching TV talking, and he passed. And I got upset. I was like, oh no, we weren't here. I wasn't holding his hand. I wasn't talking. And that was pretty much my reaction when that happened. And I kind of had to pull that to do this.
Very similar. I just lost my brother. Yeah. And I was there. And like, basically I was the person that was making decisions, you know. So having to go back to that night was heart-wrenching. And yeah, man. But as they say, in order for you to get authentic performances, you've got to believe it.
Yeah, and I had never, I've never been in a position where I'm asking someone for a performance or something that I wrote, you know, go there. I remember Terry and I had some of those conversations. I was like, you know, because when Terry and I started discussing this, it was right, I think, after the passing of your brother, and I wasn't really sure if you were even going to join. And of course, very grateful that you did. So we never really spoke about what the moment was, but I had a feeling it probably had something to do with that. I just remember saying, like, don't go there if you can't. I didn't want to be responsible, I guess, for you having to relive something. But
I think that's just part of being an actor. You know, is being able to re-experience and provide those lived experiences for other people to then experience in turn, or for them to have that kind of ability to empathize and you know, sympathize with you because they've had that experience in turn. It's powerful stuff.
It is. Yeah. Having access to that and being able to be so raw and vulnerable, whether it's, you know, live action or in this medium, is a very it can be a very rewarding thing. But I was witnessing firsthand how challenging it can be for especially people that I'm growing to care about in real life too. And now I'm saying, hey, by the way, can you do this really difficult thing? And of course, you know, on the at the end of it, they did. I mean, they did an amazing, touching thing with it. So of course, from that perspective, very grateful.
I don't know if it's. Do you feel now, after you both did that scene where you had to feel something again, that, and knowing that it actually touched people here, like I'm, you know, I got a little glazed up here just listening to it with you guys. Does it feel worth it that you get to make someone feel? Because that's kind of what we do. We make someone feel, but that is a hard place to go.
You hope that, you know, I mean, when you realize that you did actually make someone else feel how you were feeling, that's, you know, that's gold. That's acting gold. You know, that's why we do this. We want to make you feel something. We want to make you laugh. We want to make you sometimes cry, you know. And sometimes your tears are what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's important because, a lot of us, myself included, we walk around every day with a wall up. You don't want to feel those kind of things. You don't really let yourself feel those kind of things. And it's really, I think, hard to even make yourself feel that way when in any regard, even when bad things do happen. And, it takes something extraordinary to kind of drag that out of you. And it helps remind all of us, I think, a little bit that we are still human. We still have those feelings, and we should have those feelings because experiencing that is part of the human condition.
And for it to be it's so well written there, and I know I say this every single episode, but it's so well written there because it's Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky that delivers this devastation to his best friend at this point, right?
Yeah.
So that's just adding more layers to the character too.
Yeah, my family's a very emotional family. I kind of grew up that way. And I try and listen to the episodes with them as they would come out. And of course, this one just, hammered home. I mean, when you're watching me as the creator of it, you want that response. But it was amazing to watch just the notes that you guys hit and the inflections and all of the things that were happening really worked.
Well done, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this, I'll be honest also, because of what I had to pull up for that, it's one I go back and listen to a lot. So if there's a spike in this episode, it's because I listened to it a lot. Hey, this episode, we have another trivia question. And this question is, Leo awakens and transmigrates into an OD victim in the bathroom of a gas station. What, and I think I gave it away, is the name of that gas station? And we'll have the answer to that on our next episode. Hey, Jason, as always, man, thank you. This has been a pleasure. We love this amazing story of Leo Brawn. Do you have any final thoughts or comments about something we might have missed or skipped over?
I think you touched on everything. Like you said, this one had a ton of clips, but I love that we sort of finished not only, we shared the clips of the emotional aspect of it, but that was one thing I really wanted to achieve with the show was, I don't know, we're all, I think, around the same age, more or less, and, maybe. And so we probably grew up loving a lot of the same kinds of things, or at least I'm making a huge assumption, but where you cared about these characters that you were watching on a film or a television show, and they were well-rounded, and they made you laugh, cry. And so I didn't want it to just be horror and only be scary, so that we were able to sort of touch on these human elements all along the way. It's just been such a rewarding experience, and just grateful. This is what I say every time. Just thank you all for saying yes and being a part of this. It means so much.
Mike, if you had to describe this episode to somebody to get them to listen, how would you do that?
Oh my God, a roller coaster of emotion and insanity. It is like at the same time the most grounded character in the world, just draped over top of like a completely twisted version of reality. And the cast of characters is from one extreme to another. I mean, you have like a completely uninterested butler to a completely demented and like honestly sociopathic serial killer. There is something in this, I think, that every single person could find, or at least maybe not necessarily identify with, but latch onto as something that they would want to hear more of.
Mitch, what's your take on episode 9, The List?
That roller coaster comment was big, I guess. And listening to it with you guys, with a group, I don't know, it's like watching a movie together where you get to kind of laugh together and feel, I see you guys enjoying it the same. So knowing that, I laughed at the same parts you guys did, like I now get to see the next time I listen, I'm we're all laughing at this, or we're all crying at that end part or whatever. So, yeah, I'm happy it made me feel. That's what I always want from something. Make me feel something. Scared, worried, sad, whatever. and it did.
Terry, same question. What are your thoughts for episode 9?
Oh, man. I think out of all of the episodes, especially up until this point, out of all the episodes, this one is roller coaster is exactly the right word. It has every single thing in it. I think there's murder, there's massacre, there's a game show, and one of the best one-liners of all time, my bacon-flavored henchman.
Oh, yeah.
We need to start calling him that.
I feel like he just still says that every now and then.
What I enjoyed about that scene is the fact that Jim is voicing both characters. He's almost like he's talking to himself. Yeah. You have Jim as Satan talking to Jim as the pig.
Knowing Jim, I mean, that actually fits really.
Loved every second of it.
I asked this of Jim the last time he was on the show, and I'm going to ask you, Mike, when you're doing 2 different characters, do you kind of do them all in the same take, or do you do one character and then go back and do another character?
I do them at the same time. Now, I'll change the gaps because, obviously you want to change your frame of reference for it, but I want to react to the way that I just said it because I feel like it makes it, to me, more natural. So I might even just re-listen to the thing that I just did and then come back to it like, oh, well, blah, 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 from the perspective of the second character. I think, like you were saying, you wish you could have it almost seemed like you and Terry had been working together for the last scene. Allowing that kind of process to happen as well, where you can just bounce back off of each other, in real time, even if possible, it produces a much better dynamic, I think. So doing them separately, personally, I can't really do it to make it as good as it could possibly be.
There, and I won't name names, but there are some audio dramas that I've listened to where you could tell that the actors weren't working with one another. You could tell one was doing their read and the other was doing their read because it doesn't really sync or fit. There's no mutual emotion. Whereas a lot of Leo Brawn and everybody, and I think it's due to our table reads that we sit down and do the table reads with, we're able to feed off one another, and that comes up in the final production that Jason puts together.
Yeah, and I think what we had touched on too about we've all been sort of taking this journey, so we're all sort of, everyone who's portraying the characters is also really invested in them. So I've never really gotten that sense that the cast is just, I'm just going to read my lines. I don't really know the context. I don't, it's like, I feel like they're familiar with the entire story and they know the arc, and at least it seems that way. I agree. I've never felt like they weren't invested or didn't really know where the scene was going. They seem to really care, I think, about the characters and where the story is going.
I think it makes it easier when you know the character already, right? If it's a character that, like the man in the ugly archetype, when he comes in, I know how I'm going to react as him, and I think the other characters know that as well. When I do stuff with Grace, we can feed off of each other without necessarily being in the same room because I know how she's going to portray this already because I know the frame of reference for that. So, and as we go along, I think that becomes stronger and better and ties right into what we were saying earlier. Like as the season goes along, I mean, in episode 9, it gets better and better and better.
I would like to, and if I was a millionaire, I would put this together. I would love for like a weekend where we do an episode like the old time radio shows where we're all standing in a studio acting amongst one another in front of a microphone. I think that would be freaking amazing.
That would be
sick.
Mitch, when you did Father Marwood with Laurie, that to me, I imagine the two of you standing in the same room talking to one another because it came across that way.
I'm glad it did. I think that was my first run, right? So I was so hoping. I think I gave so many options so that would be the case. Because when you first do a character, you don't exactly know, and then the more you step into that role, you start to understand kind of where they're coming from. And yeah, I guess I came off a little creepy. I mean, it didn't go to her house, right? So
it was always that way. We talked about it. There was always that undercurrent. Like, you seem like you're there to help, but there's this undercurrent of someone who maybe isn't there for the right reason.
It did help me when you gave me a little backstory that no one even knows some of it yet. I'm like, oh, this is where this guy's heading. Like, there is a lot to him that we still have to look into. So yeah, it helps a lot.
Just curious, when I'm doing this, and you were just touching on it, Mitch, I always do like multiple takes and like different perspectives, different like even different deliveries, because at the same time, like, you kind of know how people are going to react or what the mood of the scene is, but I don't know necessarily how the person that's opposite of me is going to play it, and so I don't want to just one note my lines too, so we can try and make this gel together. And I feel like largely when I've listened to this, in contrast to what you were saying, Stitch, the other shows don't necessarily gel, and I feel like maybe that's the actors don't take the amount of time that's necessary to kind of deliver the different range of emotions and range of replies. And I feel like largely the people here in Leo Brawn do. Do you guys find yourselves doing multiple takes? Or
I was going to piggyback on that and say the same thing to Mitch. I said, that's exactly what I do. I'll send Jason 3 or 4 different versions of a particular line and let him pick the one that fits best.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Except when I ad lib and I'm like, this is gonna get him. And then I don't hear it. I'm like, Christ, I thought that was a good one. But that's okay. He writes so well, it makes sense. But sometimes I want to throw in a little, tasty treat in there.
I had some of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you definitely do. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, hey, folks, this has been awesome. And on behalf of Jason and myself, thank you all for taking the time to join us. We had a great time with you this evening.
It's a blast. Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
Always fun.
And to all of our listeners, thank you for being such awesome fans of Leo Brawn and listening to The Devil's Den with me, Jason, and our guests, Mitch Leschinski, Mike Cunningham, and Terry Briscoe. And hey, don't forget to find us on Facebook for all Leo Brawn updates, as well as patreon.com, where you can sign up to be an RA member and get exclusive Leo Brawn content. And if you haven't already, search for The Devil's Den on Facebook to get your updates on each episode of The Devil's Den, as well as leave us comments and questions. You never know, we might just read yours on an upcoming episode. Hey, Jason, I look forward to reviewing our next episode of The Devil's Den as we review Leo Brawn episode 10, Limbo. As we're joined by, hopefully, I'm not going to spoil it, we'll keep it a surprise. Hey, I'm Stitch Mainville. Thank you very much.
The characters and events depicted in this podcast are fictional. Any similarity to any actual persons, living or dead, or to actual events, firms, places, and institutions, or other entities is coincidental and unintentional. This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Its unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability and criminal prosecution. Country of first publication, the United States of America. Leo Brawn, copyright 2024, Shoestring TV. Leo Brawn and all related characters are trademark and copyright of Shoestring TV. All rights reserved.